Hello there, welcome to today's Global Visitor. I'm Johnny in Beijing. In this edition, let's first go visit a bold and fashionable magazine in the Middle East. Then we'll go to Los Angeles to see a note mill which now serves as a museum. Finally, shall we learn to play one of the most ancient musical instruments in Russia, Gusli? It was first mentioned during the Byzantine times, but still remains popular today. The first time when ancient instrument Gusli was mentioned in Russia was during the Byzantine times in the 5th and 6th centuries. Gusli was widespread around Russia because anyone can make it. The production of Gusli is available to everyone who can hold an axe, a plane, and a knife. Check it out.
The crystal clear voices of Gusli, one of the most ancient Russian musical instruments, transcends time. The first time when this ancient instrument was mentioned during the Byzantine times in the 5th and 6th centuries. Gusli was widespread around Russia because anyone could make it. Although its origin is not quite known, in ancient times Gusli or gusla meant a bunch of strings. A harp, an ancient Greek cither, a lyre, all these instruments are variants of the Gusli. Heroes in ancient Russian folklore like Sadko, Dobrynya, Nikitich, and Solovey Vladimirovich mastered Gusli to perfection. The Lay of Igor's Warfare mentions a Guslar narrator of the 11th century. The musicians who play Gusli are called guslers.
So, hello everyone! Today we are continuing getting involved into the sphere of Russian culture and traditions, and today we're going to talk about a multi-string and plucked musical instrument, Gusli, and we have our master, Ilya, who will tell us about the history of this music. So, we're listening to you.
Гуселей, конечно, очень большое количество форм, видов. Но самый старинный, то, что найдено у нас в России,
Gusli can take different forms. The most antique types were found in Russia in the Great Novgorod from the 9th century. This type of gusli has a small window. This gusli is similar to the European lyres by its structure. The European lyres were popular at that time in southern Europe. By the 20th century, the main type of gusli was this one. They prevailed in the Eastland, Latvia, and Lithuania. They had different names, kokli, kankles. The Finnish and Ugric peoples had the same gusli, but it was called kentil, and they had their own manner of playing it. It's a traditional Finnish instrument. These instruments are rather large, but usually they are much smaller and have fewer strings. Russian gusli were found in archaeological digs, starting with 4-stringed versions. This is a Finn, a Korean style. That's how Russian gusli sound.
Финно-карельская игра такая. Но дело в том, что наш народ русский, он очень умелый.
Many Russians can make plenty of useful things, including musical instruments. All manner of instruments are made by common people. The production of gusli is available to everyone who can hold an axe, a plane, and a knife. Frankly speaking, it's far from difficult work. Planks of different sizes, faces, and forms make up the bases. They're gouged from the inside and then removed by a cutter, forming an empty space. This particular gusli is made of a billet.
So, the wooden stem is the only one stem which is needed here, because it can be made only of wood.
Another thin plate is glued on from above. That's how an empty sound box is made.
So we need to glue on another part, which is higher.
The next important thing is to fasten the strings on it. It's important to find the pegs and spigots. Now they have metallic ones, but in the old days they used wooden pegs, as we can see on this cantil.
Can be as metallic, and also it can be wooden. So, and we see that we can turn it from here and change the sound of the string.
И необходим
And the tailpiece on the other side is extremely important. The simplest tailpiece can be made of a nail. You can use a cramp from a piece of wire. In more ancient gusli, a utitsa was used. It looks like a duck head. Inside the instrument is a duck tail. Two such duck heads are embedded to the base and are knitted to each other by a bridge. It can be wooden or metallic, and the strings must be fastened upon it. Such a mechanism passes the sound directly to the instrument itself. As a rule, they sound better, but are more difficult to produce if they don't just nail down the cramp.
In ancient times, these strings were made of tendons. They were dry tendons, so I think it's a kind of a disaster. But still, the resources are always limited, and in ancient times they were limited too. That's why they were made of tendon.
Попробуйте сыграть что-то.
Okay.
Сейчас я вас научу.
I'm gonna try this.
Для 6 струн достаточно 3 пальцев. Вот мы их ставим между
3 fingers are enough to play on 6 strings.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Guslers hold their fingers between each pair of strings.
Вот. Между струнок.
Nowadays, gusli is an irreplaceable instrument in Russian folk orchestra. Unlike modern guitars, which require more skill and practice, the gusli is easy for anyone to master.
Beauty and simplicity at once. It's really great. I love it.